such an asshole.
This was a quick one. I was in the shower, as I'm prone to do, and I think in the shower. So much so that many times in the past, I would be thinking about a book I'm writing. I'd run out of the shower naked, write down notes, water all of a sudden. Then the GF ended up getting me a waterproof notepad that you put up on the shower wall. So I use that today. And I was on Rule Zero before, and they were talking about this Jonah Hill thing and something else with the girl. And what I couldn't wrap my head around was the message this sends out. Tabloid information or not, digital internet world versus the real world or not, when you see this, it does inform the public and young men about, okay, what is your cost benefit analysis? What can you expect when you make an attempt to have a relationship with a girl, as Jonah Hill did? And then he very politely said, no, I don't want you running around partying, whoring it up. We're not made for each other. He said even more politely than that. And so I was just sitting in the shower, and somehow my mind wandered to the prospects of asking a girl out in a singular event, not like you're asking her to a concert event. Like I'm saying an instance, a one instance, like you spin the wheel once, and the cost benefit analysis that goes into asking out a girl once. Because when it comes, whether I'm consulting some younger guy or when I'm just yelling at the internet, having my finance and economics background, I know a lot about statistics, and empirically, I knew young. We're talking like late teenager. I knew it was volume. I knew, and I got to the point, and I operate from the premise: quit being a pussy, get over your fear of rejection. Girls are going to reject you. That's just the prospect. But then for one, and I said, all right, but on an individual or microeconomic, the study of individual economic choices. Here the internet's going out. Here it is. Here it is. Just hang on, boys and girls. Let's just see. God damn it. My internet has been crap, so I apologize in advance. I'll be calling on Monday to deal with that. I said, well, forget long-term strategy, forget salesmanship, forget you're just one step closer to success. Yeah, that's a step to success. The average person isn't going to be me. The average person isn't going to be Troy Francis or Rouge V. So I was sitting there thinking, here's a young man or old man, and he's going to ask a girl out. And I looked at, in today's current environment, especially with the Jonah Hill thing, where that's in theory, one of the last stops or the final goal is long-term relationship in theory. And if that is going to be undermined by your girlfriend, I presume at the time committed girlfriend, going to like, no, I want to go out and party, kill the party, that type of thing, then all the other previous decisions are pointless and stupid, because it informs, it fills in, it negates, in this particular instance, your choice to ask that girl out in the first place. Kind of like when you turn the key to a car engine, it's an instant, because of the laws of physics, your car immediately fires up, but there's like 100 little individual processes that all have to connect at lightning speed for the car to fire up. And it's kind of the same thing. If that isn't going to work, like if this isn't going to go anywhere, it informs and backs up to my first decision of whether or not this is a worthwhile decision. So that was one long economic philosophical thought I had there when I was cleaning my junk in the shower. The other thing then that then's like, okay, but wait a minute, forget long-term expectations of success or profit, as they would call in the economic world. What about just the statistical chances of this decision coming out in your favor? Just the one-off instance. And I knew, like, absolutely, it's like 1 in 10. And that is ignored. That's, you're a robot. You're a Borg. You just go up to the girl, you ask her out. That includes no factoring in for the risk of emotional pain, for lack of, you're not going to cry yourself to sleep, but it sucks getting rejected, which the normal people wouldn't bother. And I was like, okay, so for the individual young guy today, or old man, any guy prospectively asking a girl out, it's already almost a guarantee you're going to get rejected. And the average normal human being is going to feel bad. So there's a 90% chance that you are going to make yourself feel bad and you're not going to have success. And then you're also going to have the time wasted, then backed up by the current environment that informs you. And statistically likely, this is not going to go anywhere. This is going to fail. Now, I don't mean to sound black pill or doomer pill. I'm just explaining what the statistical realities and expectations are for a guy to do one time, to ask out a girl one time, and through a different lens, or I guess a more normal lens. It's stupid. It's a stupid microeconomic decision. Now, I know the nature of it, just like sales, things are not always like, oh, you should ask them out only if you have to take many shots. Baseball, if you bat over 300, that's really good. So there's certain things within reality that, yeah, it's not 50-50 or higher. I'm sure there's other places out there like, man, if you get 25%, you're doing great. So I understand that, but I'm acknowledging that, but I'm also saying the individual guy, because let's admit it, you girls don't ask out guys because you're just not equal in that regard, right? Am I right? We treat everyone as equals and advocate the equal treatment of people. We just acknowledge that the sexes are different and are better and worse at the other sex than other things. But yeah, I'll stand by that. Girls don't ask out guys. So, but for the guy, I'm thinking, okay, so for this one instance, now it's a dumb decision. They do this cost benefit analysis, and so I can see where young men will lean towards or default or slide towards inaction as opposed to taking action. Now, that was always the case back in the day, right? Most girls would reject you. That was par for the course. It was expected. And of course, the vast majority of people you would date would not lead to anything. But men were so horny that on the other side, what's pushing them on the other side is the sex drive 20 years ago. And now here I'm thinking about, okay, but the environment has changed. We could go for the low-hanging fruit and say, yeah, boys are pussies now, testosterone is lower, blah, blah. And that's a factor. I'm not saying that's not a factor. But looking at what's going on in the internet, not necessarily Jonah Hill's thing, but the cacophony, the consistent universal message that young men have been getting, that nearly any interaction, like, women really don't like you that much. And I'm not being facetious. I'm not trying to go for an extreme take. This is the message you girls put out there. We don't need no man. You're part of the patriarchy. You're oppressing us. Ryan Stone made the point, the Me Too movement as well, which killed any office romance, because why would you girls want to find a guy who's reliably employed and have a job? Maybe in the same field and industry and therefore interest as you, but we don't. Okay. But the environment has 100% fact. No nuance. The dating market has become much more hostile to men than in any time past. I don't mean like you're going to get rejected. You might get rejected and have your tweet dragged out on the internet for all the world to see in the case of Joan Hill. And you might get brought up to HR, which you should not be asking girls out at work anyway. But removing those kind of obvious things aside, as more and more people live on the internet and you get your perception of the real world, which is not the internet, but I argue that the two are going to combine. They are forming into one as time goes on and more people live their lives on the internet. Therefore, the internet becomes reality. As more and more young men and older men have their perceptions of the real world informed by the internet, and the internet does become a higher and higher percentage reality, it's pretty darn accurate. And whether you girls, and by that I mean the media people, the bloggers, anyone who's on the internet, whether you're doing that consciously or for secondary or ulterior purposes, like I'm going to get the guys and maybe we're going to act as a cartel, and we're going to provide this unified front so men lower their expectations and we can be fat and we can. I don't know what your strategy is. And that I'm being deadly serious about too. If it's a great demoralization campaign, maybe you don't like guys and you're just being honest and truthful. Maybe you hate men because they don't like fat chicks. Whatever it is, I'm talking the frickin' zoo that is the internet, that men look in, this abyss when it comes to the online dating and the intersexual dynamics and the war of the sexes, as it were. When they look at that, if they weren't already deterred by the simple human emotional aspects of rejection and the statistical likelihood of unsuccess, that singular event up front that begins all other consequential events is much more drastically deterred. It's like going into a headwind. I mean, if you're a pilot or if you're a cyclist like I was, you'd bike, and if you got a headwind, it'd really slow you down. It's like death for cyclists. And if I got to figure, am I going for a bike ride today? How windy is it? Oh, winds of 60 miles an hour. I ain't going out. And so what was already a very unlikely event, I really should look up what percentage of men ask out girls like on a weekly basis and how that has changed over time. We don't have the data, but we do know, and ladies, I think you're aware that men are just not asking girls out anymore. And I'm looking at him like, here it is. This is why. Not beyond, yeah, okay, it's the simple logic. Okay, women are beating their chests and being very negative towards me. I get that. But I was thinking it was already a precarious situation a guy was going to ask you out to begin with. Now, with the headwinds and the internet showing you information that may or may not be actually true to what is representative in the real world on the ground, it's still the information they got. And it all backs up like a net present value calculation to this one initial point in time. Is the guy going to ask you out? And the answer is no, he probably isn't. And even if we ignore the future, we look in the immediate term, not even the short term, the immediate term, true microeconomic individual. I'm like, it makes complete sense. Because if you go, we're not getting asked out, that doesn't start and does not totally encompass. Okay, how can I put it? Girls getting asked out on the macro, nationwide, society-wide, over a certain period of time, that is not constituted at the macro level. Whether or not you are asked out and the frequency you are asked out is constituted on all the cumulative microeconomic decisions men are making. And because that initial microeconomic decision is not profitable, is not likely to result in success, and will very likely end up in a price being paid, although not a life-ending one, men aren't doing it. And that then repeats itself. Every time a guy cute, look, I was at the jazz club last night with the only and new jazz club. And there was like this cute girl that walked in. And I'm a guy, I'm not dead. I'm like, oh, hey, look at that. And then my brain immediately like, oh yeah, if you were to ask this girl out, yeah, now you gotta it's not asking out. You gotta get up. You gotta come up with a shtick. Troy Francis will teach you all about it. You have to have an approach. And just because of everything I went, I done this in the past. I was quite the player back in the day. But as an older man, I'm like, oh, that just sounds exhausting. Even the concept of like dating, you look back and I think, what this happened. Imagine 18-year-old Cappy, a parallel, if you will. A date is also a microeconomic transaction or decision or analysis. And back when I was younger, obviously more driven by a sex drive, I would take, and it was also culturally expected. Like if you asked a girl out, you would pick her up. In my day, we had our driver's licenses, boys. I know nowadays that's just like, oh my God. So we'd pick the girl up at her place or her dorm, whatever, and we'd have a plan. Usually it was a movie. And if you could afford it, you'd swing dinner. I couldn't afford it, so I'd take them to a video game arcade. We play video games or whatever, air hockey before we go see the movie. And then, for 18-year-old Cappy, that was a lot of money. Gas to get down there and back. Oh, Mall of America. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, the 90s. Oh, the idyllic world of the 90s. Oh. And I look at that now with my old man eyes. Are you kidding me? Forget the asking out. Forget the have to ask out 10 girls to get one date. And then, whether the girl shows up and doesn't flake is another issue. That's another economic analysis. Just come on a journey with me and assume the girl said yes to a date and she's going to show up. I know. Wow. Talk about theoretical physics. Even if the girl was guaranteed to show up, I'd be looking at it like, wait, so you're telling me I got to spend 30 minutes to go pick this girl up. Then I got to go on first date to a dinner. Let's just say I upgrade to a dinner. The dinner is implied. And I got to I got to put effort into being charismatic, entertaining, because there's a 70% chance, maybe even higher nowadays with younger gals, that you're going to have to carry the conversation. So you got to be on stage for an hour and a half from picking her up to the dinner. Then you go to the movie. All right. There you don't have to perform. And then you got to put on your horse and pony show for like half an hour back to her. So we're looking 1 hour commute, 2 hours movie. You're looking at 4 hours, 3.5 hours. And the money and resources and time gone. Oh, here comes the internet. Hang on. And we're back. That is exhausting. Forget whether you're going to have sex. Remove all that. I'm like, dating really now seems outdated and truly stupid and dumb. Like, just what a colossal waste of resources and time, not to mention fanfare, like unnecessary fluff. And more modernly, and I would have to agree with every young person. Yeah, like we go get coffee, or we go get cocktails, and it's at the bar across the street from my apartment, and we have ourselves a 15, 20-minute conversation. Oh, we talk on the internet, we get to know each other. I mean, now the internet has maybe streamlined it, but the idea of traditional dating, oh my God, does that look ass backwards and awkward and obsolete and just stupid. And now I'm wondering if a certain amount of that is also now infiltrating into the initial choice whether to propose the idea that you and a guy go hang out, a quote date, a guy asks you out. And in all that context, and then the environment, what else we want to throw in there? Divorce, watching their old man get divorced, just going to school, everything. We got it. We got the memo. Leave you alone, which is the universal front. Well, no, really, dude, bro. I know. Girls, I know, but I'm talking what an 18-year-old kid brought up by a single mom who doesn't know any better. That's more what I'm talking about. Who was raised by his teachers in the state. We want an ally. That's who I'm talking about. Yeah. You girls want to know why guys aren't asking you out? Because at every microeconomic decision, when they're given a 90% chance of losing. And think about that. If you had a 90% chance of lose, we're talking more like 95% when you factor in this is probably going to be a waste of time anyway. Guys have costs. Even if they're young and they're not making a lot of money, they got time costs. And think about that. If you had a 5% chance, like you got $5, right? You got $5. And you say, hey, if you spin the money or spin the wheel, you get a 5% chance of doubling your money. You'll have $10. But there's a 95% chance that you're going to lose. Even at a small investment of $5, which one might argue is the financial price tag you could put on the fear, worry, concern, building up the courage, time, and approach it takes to ask a girl out, most guys are going to say, and I'm no actuary, and there's no real way to translate non-hard financial finite data into finite numbers. It just isn't. But it is kind of like looking at like, okay, so you could pay $5 in non-financial costs to have a 5% chance of success. No. Even with the male sex drive, which has been whittled down, pushing you, which isn't what it used to be. The boys aren't taking that anymore. 20 years ago, they might. Well, which would be a $3 cost adjusting for inflation or something. And then with the headwinds, I'm like, yeah. And so, and then it almost becomes a policy. Oh God, no, why would I? $5 for a 5% chance? No. And then it comes up again, $5. No, why would I? No. And then they don't even think about it. It's now no longer a possibility or feasibility. And now you get into the world of, well, we'll meet on the internet, we'll meet with friend, maybe we're introduced, we'll hang out, get to know on the, I like you on there, we'll date online. That was one thing that blew me away. There's people dating online, they've never met each other. One client, I met this girl in Peru, we've been dating for 2 years. I'm like, oh, well, you're going to go over there? What? Well, we've never met. And I just like, oh my God, I'm going to kill y'all. I'm going to kill y'all. But it all macro trends start with micro decisions. And if we analyze the environment and the data and the information that all the guys have for that individual microeconomic decision, it explains everything else. It is not worth their time and money and psychology and other resources to do it. And once again, we now go into the realm of female agency, where ladies, if you'd like a guy to ask you out, you have headwinds now. All the headwinds, maybe not you, but your 4 mothers and 4 sisters created with feminist movement and this truly anti-male crap on the internet. We don't need no man, and how dead in the Jonah. That's what they see. That's what they see. You're going to have, if you like a guy, you're going to have to make it really clear. I'm not saying you got to ask him out, though. If you wanted to be equals, you could. If you want to be truly equal, you could. But they call it dropping the handkerchief. Girls would carry, I guess, I don't know if this is true or not, but they would carry handkerchiefs in the old days and they would drop it. And then the guy would like, oh, madam, you forgot your dinkly winkly. And they'd all be British wearing monocles and top hats. I guess that you're going to have to do a lot of handkerchief dropping. And it's going to have to be obvious. Well, we know where that's going to go. So never mind. Just a theory. I'll just write it up here on the theoretical physics board. There's a theoretical solution to this, but we know. But if you were wondering why guys aren't asking girls out, a little analysis from a microeconomic perspective would answer it. So there we go. I just wanted to talk about that today. Before Cappy went on, I got to go to the gym. And then I made a boneheaded move. One of my vehicles was low on oil. And so without looking, I grabbed a black bottle and started pouring it just a little bit. Got it. It was coolant. I'm like, shit. So now I got to change the oil. Got to drain it all out. Which, okay, fine. Wiz Division Productions, $5. Mr. Celery hits 100,000. Now he can't even be bothered to maintain a stable internet connection for his audience. Never meet your heroes, folks. Was it that bad? Did I really go out? I try not to let it get me angry. I try. But god damn it, man. It's a diecast in here, $5. I put a request in for a video about a week ago. I haven't heard back. Can I send you an email? I checked my spam filter and haven't gotten anything. Yeah. Well, here's the thing. This is very common. Did you type in your response, your email in the form? You got to fill out your email twice. I've had people fill out their email erroneously the same way twice. And then I respond and it says undeliverable because this email don't exist. If you want, use the alternative email Dicastinator. It's possible your email is being tossed into spam. Let me know. I double check my database to see if something comes in. Nothing's come in. Because my email is shit. Microsoft is horrible. Eiler Larson, $2 Canadian, currently job hunting. Any interview tips? Yeah, have an indispensable degree and have it, major in STEM. Interview tips, if possible, avoid HR. I don't. You're asking the wrong guy. I interviewed horribly because I was too literal. With Division Productions, $5. I had a kind Indian coworker who asked me to take her out multiple times. Definitely some brave women. Good for her. Good. God bless her. God bless her. Too bad the workplace is now a Me Too. Right. How's that schmutz on my shirt? Schmutz on my shirt. It always poses you the question, do they even like us? Because they claim sometimes to want a guy, and me logically thinking a really good place to find a really good guy would be work, because they got a job, that's like an initial screening. I don't know. It would just to me, would seem to me, old man Cappy, that to find a quality guy, your chances are better at the office than at a nightclub. They mark my words, Cappy. You could say you heard it here first. Women have put so many rules into society for asking them out that they're going to have to start asking out the guys, because it's just going to be damn near impossible to ask them out. It's go walk out into this landmine field, but you're like, you don't have to incentivize me. You don't have to deter me anymore. It really, I mean, do you like guys or not? And if you do, girls, which I'm increasingly based on your behavior, I know you want the top 5%. I get that. And maybe I did answer it. They want guys that just want the top 5%. The bottom 95% don't exist. But from a more theoretical academic standpoint, ladies, or a marketing or a PR campaign, I don't know where the anti-male, man-hating shit is getting you. I really don't know. Well, you don't hate men. Okay, fine. You certainly don't like them. Or at least I don't know what else. Oh. Goth Rocker, $20 generous. I turned 40 yesterday. Congratulations. It is bothering me. I feel time passed me by. Time did pass you by. 40 years. That's how birthdays work and years work. You are right. Rejection made me work harder and do better. I do not bother with women. At events, I feel weird always being alone, but too old for this crap. Yeah, no, it's... I even remove women from the formula. Even going out to be social, I'm getting tired. Now, a lot of that is I'm physically exhausted working on my house, doing all this work. And then at the end of the day, you do physical labor for 6 hours, you'll be tired too. I haven't even really gone hiking all that much, but you're exhausted. I get that. But then I look at, do I want to go out and even be social? Like, do I want to go meet up group? There's like this volleyball group downtown. And I used to like volleyball, but it's like, do I want to, hey guys, can I play? Oh yeah. What's going on? We're going to go for beers later? Oh yeah, let's go for beers. Yay. Let's have mundane young 30-something-year-old conversation. Yeah. Oh. You hear about the Federal Reserve? Oh, I remember when people discovered the Federal Reserve in the early 30s. Yeah, central banking. Yeah, I'd have to inform them. It's a paradox, and there's no simple solution. You are getting older. There's no doubt about that. I don't know why your age would bother you. A friend of mine told me it only goes one way. And age never bothered me because I don't control it. Like that one I did know. I just make sure every day, I am not out of physical shape. I'm going and doing something I want. Yeah, age really does. Dude, look at me. I'm almost 50. I'm almost 50, damn, do I look good. And I'm almost to the point where I look at it where I get to do an oil change. Like, man, today I get to do an oil change. I get to do that. But humans are getting exhausting. Um, I, it takes energy just to go out. It does. Um, and so whereas I would kind of maybe not bother with the gals, and if you do it online dating, or maybe, there's nothing wrong with asking out. Like, hey, you're cute. You got a boyfriend? That's what the great one does. Pretty quick, short, to the point. That won't take a lot of energy. So you could still do that. But even socially at events, I feel weird and all being a little bit too old for this crap. Yeah, you're even in social situations. But remember, also, most people are dumb. Have you read The Curse of the High IQ? You might be too smart for these people. I'm not joking. I'm not joking. I don't go to sports bars to watch the game and have wings, bro, because I'm smarter than those people. I don't care how arrogant that sounds. It's true. Dude, bro, the guy hit the cylinder in the net with the L-shaped stick. They got the Stanley Cup. Oh my God. Did you see the goalie stop the cylinder? Man, he's good at stopping cylinders. Yeah, and sometimes, look, everyone's going to be alone at some point in their life. You're all going to be alone. And you could go, hey, did you get the menu? Life without the opposite sex? Go through there. Do you go to a church? Do you go to fraternal order? Now that all the work is done, July 12th, which is my celebration now. And I'm like, okay, I'm resting up, but I'm going to look back, maybe join the cops, join the Elks. I don't know. But yeah, it takes work to, but man, there's not, I've also been conditioning myself to enjoy being at home. Well, I'll just have a cigar on the patio and look at my pond. That's more meditative. I got wind chimes now. Listen to the wind chime. Um, but yeah, it's just as long as you're doing something kind of work, reading, anything. Just don't stagnate. Just don't sit there and look. And go out and try and be social, but be honest with yourself and say, am I having fun? Which you got to ask that question. Chances are you're not. And there's nothing wrong with saying, yeah, okay, this isn't it. This isn't it. Shaggy Sunshine, $2. YouTube suggested you because I watched Terrence Pop. Yeah, oh yeah, me and Pop. Yeah. Welcome to the club. I wish him and I had more of an adversarial kind of insulting relationship like me and Modern Life John, but Pop is just so cool and I have so much respect for him. We're good friends, but yeah, Pop's great. Pop and Blake, yeah, good guys. Wisdom Vision Productions, $2. Rejection is a blessing in disguise as you get older. Right. Well, it's also the correct information. Look, when a girl rejects you, she's doing you a favor. Because if she leads you on, you're wasting more time and hope and emotional investment, we could call it. All right, but if a girl rejects you, now you know not to invest in that anymore. You don't want to become one of these sad saps that like is Mr. Nice guy and friend and supporting, emotional tampon guy as the girl goes through and blows 8 guys and cries because she met him at the nightclub and not work and goes crying. You don't want to be that guy. Hey, that's why the great one's approach is very simple. Like, hey, you're cute. You got a boyfriend? There you go. Like that's a second investment. And she says, no, I don't. I'm like, cool. You want one? How easy is it? How easy? And usually most girls are very nice and civil. They're like, no, I have a boyfriend. See, and you're always giving them the out. You're always giving them the out. Because I got news for you. 80% of the women, when they say, no, I have a boyfriend, don't have a boyfriend. They're lying. They just don't want to go out with you. And that's their polite way of saying no. So you give them that very easy, low-hanging fruit. A little bit of flirtation up front. Hey, you're cute. You got a boyfriend. That's it. There you go. Yeah, you want one? I'm taking applications. It's just, how hard? What? Come on. Goth, right? And then she says yes. Now you're like, crap. Now I got to invest 4 hours of figuring something out. Shit. I could be playing video games today. I could be changing the oil, sighting the rifles. You should see my to-do list. Change oil, sight rifles. Goth Rock for 20 generous dollars again. By the way, today's money goes to oil and filters for my vehicle that I foolishly poured coolant into. Not a lot. It's just a little, but it's enough. Like, it's going to mess something up. Married friends' wives make comments how I am alone, but I feel they are jealous that I have freedom and I have my houses. Sold my house last month. Love my cars and guitars. Am I wrong being materialistic at this point? Okay. Are you worshiping the things? Is it running you into financial trouble? Then yeah, you're wrong being materialistic. Do you enjoy playing your guitars? Do you enjoy having your cars? Do you have no debt, like you own them outright? Do you have an adequately funded 401k or retirement fund? No, you're not being materialistic. Like I was telling the guys, like, okay, I'm a minimalist, but I did buy a 1909S VDB wheat penny. It cost $1,000. I don't do that every day. I don't do that every decade. I did it once in my life, and that's the one coin I couldn't find for my wheat penny collection, and they're pricey. And now I have it. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of anything that, but you're allowed the occasional nice thing. And if you're not going to have a social life, which I argue you still should, but look, even if you did have a social life, you still need to do something. You can't just sit in a barren home doing nothing. Even Vince has his books. I got a video game says I play video games occasionally. I can't just be social all the time. There's nothing wrong with enjoying your vehicles. I got a motorcycle. I don't need a motorcycle. As long as it's not your point and purpose in living. Goth Rocker again, $10. Put this towards the oil change. Thank you. Always check your fluids. I love that. I did. That's how it started yesterday. That's how I screwed up. I was checking all the fluids and all the vehicles. Tire pressure, everything. And 2 of them were low on oil. I'm like, what the hell is... I don't see any leaks. I got the pans and the cardboard underneath. It must be burning it. I gotta stay on top of that. Yeah, and then I just made more work for myself. I love the menu. Good. There you go. But it is rough around here. Love my cars, especially my Lincoln Continental, all paid off. I'm done being social, not fun. If you're not having, there you go. Or just find the right social group. Nothing wrong with church, man, or synagogue or mosque or whatever your religion is. Nick Corkaditis, €2. Is making savings by condom size microeconomic? Oh, he's making savings by condom size. You lost me, buddy. Microeconomics. You lost me. Like you put coins in a condom? What are you talking about? All right, there you guys go. So link, we talked about a couple resources. I don't know, what were we talking about? Oh, Micro-Economics of Rejection. Boys, please go get the menu, Life Without the Opposite Sex. It's a statistical analysis of your chances with women, and it will inform you whether or not you want to invest or how you want to invest. A lot of people misconstrue what I say. I'm not saying don't ask out girls. I'm not saying don't go have a social life. I'm not saying don't chase after them. Chase after them intelligently. Please go get that book, The Book of Numbers, Analyzing the ROI in the Pursuit of Women. And then I think I have Bachelor Pad Economics. Ask out the girls. Put some effort into a social life. If it happens, it happens. In the meantime, you have other obligations, mainly your finances. Get your financial act together. And so that's where the book Bachelor Pad Economics comes in, the financial advice Bible for men. And then, we got a, whoa! M. Cephas, 100 Canadian bucks. That's serious money. Very generous. Thank you, sir. I make $25 an hour at 35 years old. Never went to college. Smart man. I have a 129 IQ. I feel like I should be making more money than I am. Should I bother at 35 to go to college for 4 years to increase my wage? Or is it better just to do truck driving or something at this point? Well, to inform your decision on that, what are your life goals financially? I don't mean I want to save up this amount of money. I mean, what life goals do you have are going to require money? The main ones being family and your house. Do you want a family? A lot of bachelors don't. A lot of you are confirmed bachelors. Do you want to get married? Which you shouldn't be. If you're okay just being a confirmed bachelor, maybe you have a girlfriend, but you don't want kids, you get to do whatever the hell you want. Like, I don't make that much money. I make a fair amount of money. I do average, but I don't have kids. Right? That's why I can afford $1,000 penny, which is rare. I don't have to. I don't have to work that much. If I don't feel like writing a book, I don't have to. It's I have very little expenses, and that's in part minimal. You want to be a minimalist, don't have a family, and then you don't have to make that much money. So if you're happy doing whatever your job is at $25 an hour, no, you don't have to. You don't have to go to college. But if you feel some kind of two things. One, if your future life goals require more money, yes, you probably should go to college or training or trade school for something, right? Whichever one. It doesn't matter what. Okay, as long as there's a paycheck at the end of it. What was the other thing? If you want your life goals require that. And then two, you got IQ 129. Please go get Curse of the High IQ if you haven't already. You might have what's also driving you is not the desire to have more money. It could be more so you are intellectually unstimulated, which you will be at every job no matter what, unless it's a really obscure job. And so maybe for non-financial reasons, you might want to go to trade school or college or something else. And just so you know, going to college is not intellectual, right? It can be, but generally it's not. You're just looking for something to do, and that's perfectly fine. So when it comes to executing that plan, if you figure for whatever reason you want to, go ahead and do it. I would say do it intelligently, though. If it's purely financial, I do the truck driving. Absolutely. Like a 5-week investment. I don't know how long the training is up in Canada, but why go to school for 4 years, two of which are going to be pissed away learning about how to lick Karl Marx's dick. I'm like, oh my God, just other people's money is so intelligent. And so there's that. But then 2 more years, you actually do the thing. I just go truck driving school if it's financial. If it's more intellectual, like you want to be stimulated, well, take some courses online or go to a trade school, go to local community college, learn how to wrench on vehicles or become an electrician or something. That's intellectually stimulating. And you don't have to go full time. Take a course, maybe 2, and just slowly make your way, because it's not for finance. It's not like you need to get a degree by this age so you could make up the money to save up a down payment to get a house. So just, maybe you don't know. Maybe I don't know. Well, take a course online in accounting. Take a physical course on auto mechanics, which Camp gets to do later on today. Yeah, it just take your time, man. There's no rush. It sounds like you're a bachelor, you don't have any kids or anything, so that's one of the beautiful things. You could sample. You're in no rush to sign up for a new career. Just go out there and sample a little bit. But yeah, I mean, truck driving's quick and to the point. You want to make more than a college graduate and be more useful to society, become a truck driver. It's true. Nick Crocodile's 2 books, Minimalism with a Lambo Countach. Is they still make those? It's an old car. Yeah, that was the big one back in the day. I remember that. SJ, 2 Canadian bucks. Could you be a minimalist with a family? Yeah. Yeah. Well, you almost have to be. Go if you're bored, you want to look at a minimalist lifestyle, what it looks like. Go pick up Early Retirement Extreme with Jacob Lundfisker or get my book Poor Richard's Retirement. I go through that on what a budget was like in the 50s. Everyone think the 50s were this idyllic time. In a certain way it was, but they got by on like 30,000 in today's dollars. And it wasn't like, oh, they just paid their husband more. No, they did without. You had a car. Mom would get her ass in the kitchen and make everyone a sandwich. Women were also very critical to the budget. They would clip coupons. They'd be very judicious with the family budget. They weren't just sitting there drinking wine, watching soap operas. Being a mom back in those days was a very important job. And they would patch up clothes. You wouldn't buy new clothes. You patch. In the 80s, if you skinned your knee with new jeans, your mom was pissed. She was pissed. because clothes still cost. We hadn't yet fully outsourced our clothing to Asian people yet. But yeah, you can be a minimalist with a family. The real trick is going to be finding a wife who's on board with that. I'm sorry, ladies. Most of you just all too materialistic. Most of you want things, you don't want love. Because, strong, independent women need $150,000 in debt for worthless master's degree. But don't have a husband or kids you love. It's more important that you go with your career and all that. Yeah, you need a very unique and special and kind and loving woman for that. That's just not going to happen. Women really ought to listen to this channel, and then you'd get the guy. But that would require the work. We know we don't want the work. No. No, the guy is worth the work. Give up the ho-hos and hit the gyms to get the guys you patriarch. All right, that's it. Thank you for all the very kind donations. Yeah, I am going to get a filter and oil. I got to get safety jacks too. I was like, well, I thought I had some. I don't. All right, see you guys later. Toodles.